Hey, it's Greg here with maritimegardening.com, and as promised, I said I would do a video on works in progress, things that I had planned to do by now that aren't done yet, that I'm just chipping away at in order to get my garden to its sort of ideal situation. So without no further ado, let's just have a walk around. It's sort of like a tour of unfinished things, just for for those of you out there that feel like, oh man, I got so much, I never get anything done. What's wrong with me? Why is everyone else so organized? You know, nobody's organized. Okay. I think, a lot of us, we watch these YouTubers with their amazing gardens and, we think, boy, they've really got it on the ball, that sort of thing. Well, I mean, a lot of these people don't have full-time jobs. Some of them do, right? They have a full-time job and kids and other obligations, right? I mean, a lot of things have to come first before your garden, right? If it's your daughter's birthday, or your mom needs something, or your wife wants some attention, or whatever the situation, you got to go to work, or you're tired, whatever, right? In a lot of ways, the garden kind of comes last after a lot of other things. But the main thing is to just keep either in your mind or written down on paper a list of things you know that you should do to have the best garden you can have, and just work on them when you ever have a moment. So I woke up early today, up at 5 a.m., had a couple of coffees, watched some pointless YouTube crap while I drank the coffees, and then I came out here at 6 a.m. and just got to work. And we're getting really hungry right now. I'm about to go in and make some breakfast, but I thought I'd do just a quick little walk around showing you the unfinished business, so you can gather whatever tidbits of wisdom or information or whatever from that. Let's have a look. Number one, outside the garden. I got a bunch of trees that have fallen down or that need to come down in the woods behind the house. And my plan is to take those trees using my chainsaw and make a really nice looking compost leaf mulch station here. And I just keep putting it off because it's the least important thing on my list. I don't need this to have the garden happening. In a place here I put leaves, and in a place here we just put weeds and stuff. But I want to make something like this, that I use here to grow potatoes, but maybe nicer. I don't know, just want to play around. I just need like an afternoon where I don't have to think about anything else but mess around with chainsaws and axes and sledgehammers and big nails. So that's the thing on my list of things to do. I got a compost bin here. I want to put some kind of, right now I got this really rudimentary way of keeping the lid on. I just put rocks on top. I want to nail some sort of piece of wood to the back and make a hinge type thing and make it a little bit more formal. I might never get around to that, but this is just an idea I'm playing with. This fence is kind of all over the place. I need to add some posts to the fence to shore it up and to stiffen it up. Right, I got a fence around my entire garden. It needs constant maintenance. Parts of it seem to fall apart every year, and so they need to be worked on. It's still holding up, so it's lower in priority. All these tasks have to be prioritized. I got 2 cherry tomato plants. I need to build, these are sweet millions, I think. I need to build a trellis about 6 feet high here. I could train it up the fence, but I think it'll just attract attention from the outside animals, so I'm going to bring it in, right? And the fence doesn't go that high anyway, etc., etc. I got some old chicken wire, right? So that's something that needs to be done. Yeah, I'll put this out of the way over there for now. Another thing that needs to be done. Okay, over here. One of my big projects for this year was I had garden beds going up against the fence. And I found that everything within 2 feet of the fence didn't grow because of shade, right? That whole perimeter, weeds grow outside there. I know people have said you should do this and you should do that to control the weeds outside the fence. This is like a 50, this is a 200-foot perimeter. No, not doing that. The ground's uneven out there, right? There's ticks, all that sort of stuff. I sort of just, the outside of the fence is wild. Civilization's inside the fence, right? The wilderness is outside the fence. That's the way I look at it. As all that foliage, that wild stuff grows up, it creates shade, right? So everything close to the fence just gets a little bit less light. So by moving everything in, I get more productive land. So the plan is to cardboard this whole perimeter, just for cardboard. There's a drugstore down the road. and I can fish the stuff out of the dumpster to my heart's content, and I do. Cardboard the whole thing, and then have wood chips brought in. I've got a whole bunch in my driveway. I just need to bring, this is like a morning project, morning workout, you know, 5 wheelbarrow fulls a day sort of thing. I also want to put, I've got a lot of wood, pieces of wood across these ends to separate the sand from the wood chips, or otherwise you kind of get a growing medium for tenacious weeds, right? Very few things can grow in sand. You can see there's a bit of grass growing here, but it's easy to control because it's loose sand, so everything pulls out very easily. Nothing can really root in there, right? So it's sort of a job that my kids do in the summer. They have to spend an hour a day out here just dealing with the paths. I mean, they spend an hour a day, but you know, what they do in an hour I could do in, you know, 20 minutes. As they're talking and messing around, having a good time, whatever, right? Anyway, so there's that thing I got to do. These are cucumbers here. I got a cucumber bed. I have to build a trellis, right? It does not need it immediately, but it has to be done in the next couple weeks, right? I had peas, and I built a nice trellis for my peas, and they're about 4 feet up it already, right? And just this morning I finished shoring up a trellis here for my beans, right? These beans will be 6-7 feet high by the time they're done. And I got some wire remesh here, but I just had some odds and sods, some old chicken wire and stuff, and then I did a bit of lacing down here. I've done videos on how to do this to fill this spot, right? So the beans can climb up the fence. So building a trellis here is just one more thing I have to do. I've got the materials to do it, just gotta find the time. That's an early morning thing to do. There's nothing worse than trying to tie and put together a trellis when you've got thousands of black flies whizzing around your face. Down here I'm going to be growing pumpkins along along the edge here, and I have to mulch. You can see I'm building cardboard out, right? And the pumpkins are going to colonize the whole area, but I've got the cardboard down because all of these forest weeds, they travel underground, they deal with mulch very well. The only way to control them is with cardboard, really. And even then, they can go a few feet underground and pop up, like these unbelievably tenacious bindweed, right? The worst of all things, right? Need to be controlled. Look, any place they can get through, they get through. You just have to manage it, right? Anyway, this will all be mulch and pumpkins over cardboard. This area here is completely out of control, needs to be brought into control. I've got an ongoing project of training this grapevine along this trellis. This grape plant was moved just over a year ago, and it was all kind of messed up. So it's kind of a tedious process deciding which vines get to grow and which vines have to be sort of culled out. Right, because you only need so many vines. You only want the plant supporting so many vines, and you want the best ones being supported and given all the light. Right, so the idea is I have three tiers of vines for this one plant, and I just build on those branches over time, and I don't let any other branches exist. Right, that's an ongoing project. I've got bindweed and other weeds coming up through the mulch that I laid down last year. Last year I covered this whole area with cardboard and put the wood chip mulch over top. And you can see, and it was fine for the year, but you can see now whatever this, I don't know what this thing is, this particular weed. I mean, there's bindweed here. It's a combination of bindweed and whatever this is. And they just pop up out of the ground, right? They travel underground and pop up. So this all has to be mowed down, ripped out, ripped up, cardboard put down, and more wood chips put on top. And that's pretty much the theme for this whole area, right? The area, the base of the these are haskap berries, has to be completely weeded and paper put down and then mulch put over the top. Right, that's why I got all this cardboard here, and these stumps are just stumps. When I had a guy, a tree service, drop off a bunch of wood chips in the driveway, and part of the deal is they they dump stumps, right? That's fine. I can use them in the garden, right? They're a great home for snakes and toads and things like that. But also I can use them as I'm laying out this cardboard to hold it down. And that's kind of what this morning I got to work on some of this, right? So I also had a problem here. I got something coming through the fence destroying this Saskatoon, right? This was a beautiful, you know, flowered out, thriving plant a couple weeks ago. And I noticed just the other day that something had just destroyed it. And I don't know if something has leaned over the fence or come under the fence or jumped over the fence or what. A lot of my viewers have suggested a deer jumped over the fence. I find that hard to believe because, you know, as nice as Saskatoon berries are, there is so much better stuff over there. There's no way they would leave some of the good things I've got growing over there alone. Like once they get in there, they'd have a look around. Also kind of difficult to jump out compared to jumping in, because maybe they jump in off the hill here, right? But not impossible. But they would have a look around. They'd scout the place out and they'd be back. They'd be back for, I got spinach over there, right? I got pea. If anything, they'd see those peas and go straight to them. Pea greens are so sweet. I mean, human beings can eat those. They're so good, right? There's so many good things here, good eating things. I just can't see them. Why wouldn't they eat the tips of the blueberries? Why wouldn't they, you know, there's so many things in here for them to go for. I have to guess that it was a rabbit that came under the fence and cut these off so it could reach the tops. See, they're cut like a beaver, right? I could be wrong. There's little chew marks. I'd have to guess that a rabbit came through the fence somewhere and just went after the tips. I don't know. These look awfully mawed up. These look chewed on like a way a deer would. I don't know for sure. And also we have moose here. It could be a moose. It could be a lot of things. Anyway, this morning I put chicken wire all along the bottom of the fence. I just got some odds and sods and boarded it up. And just, you know, perhaps there's some doorway that they use to get through. I just made it a little bit difficult. We'll see what happens. This doesn't look any worse today than it looked yesterday. Perhaps whatever came and had a meal of this is done. I don't know. But anyway, and also just there was all kinds of grass and stuff growing at the base. So I just put this nice damp wet cardboard that's easy to manipulate. Laid that all out. I did the same thing at the base of this hascap, and I'm starting to work along the edge here, right, to control the weeds. And that's what I'm going to do all the way around. And every place where I see weeds popping up, I'll paper that. You know, you can get rolls of paper that's used for flooring. They're relatively inexpensive. For large projects like this, they can be useful, right? So at least that way, you know, whatever's trying to grow under the paper, starve for light, will die, won't come back if you get it well enough, right? So you got big areas like this where you got this weed, whatever this is, it's impossible to get out. I mean, not impossible, very, very, very labor intensive to get out. Whereas you just layer cardboard over it, put wood chips over that, it just disappears, right? It dies out. Sure, so the weed seeds from these buttercups will go in the ground. I'll deal with that next year. The whole point is getting things under control this year. And this was all supposed to be heavily mulched and cardboarded months ago, but the cardboard didn't arrive, the mulch didn't arrive till late, and I hurt my back as well. It's just things got in the way, right? But anyway, that's what all these stumps, all this stuff, these stumps and all these sorts of things, that's where this is all going, right? I'll have stumps along the edge and lots of wood chips and cardboard, and you know, it's not going to stop the weeds 100%, but it'll get the area under control, right? And so that's one more ongoing long-term thing that I have to do, right? Or another work of progress that I have to get on top of here in the garden. I got this old wheelbarrow that, as you can see, is falling apart, right? So it's done. Not only that, but the bucket has got holes in it. It's rusted right through. So I have an idea of taking this big wheel, which is larger in diameter, and figuring out some way to Mad Max parts of this to make this one better. And also I want to put a board alongside here to stiffen this up, because this wheelbarrow is old and frail and you know, kind of on its last legs, but I think I can get 5 more years out of it. It's always handy to have a second wheelbarrow, especially when you've got your kids helping you. So I thought of just taking this cheap old 1x3 strapping and with a little adhesive and some screws, laminating it onto the side here just to stiffen things up. So laminate a piece of wood onto the side to stiffen it up. You can see, and this is already Mad Maxed. This wheelbarrow fell apart years ago, and I got this wood off a neighbor's wheelbarrow. I'm going to laminate the wood onto the side to stiffen it up, and hopefully, if it'll fit, add a bigger, higher wheel. The bigger the wheel, the easier it is to, in terms of diameter. The bigger the wheel, the easier it is to push and handle a wheelbarrow. So that's the plan. And this wheel's in better shape, right? The original, this wheel here, as you can see, its best days are gone. It's got cracks and it's done. That's one more thing along the list of things to do. Finally, I have this pond, which I built between the fall 22, spring 23. It's worked great. The fish are happy. It's, you know, just a living system. But I made a mistake when I was building it. When I was mixing the concrete, for a couple of the batches I went cheap, and I used just clay from the bottom of this pit. I put a couple shovelfuls of clay in with the mix, thinking, haha, I'm going to save on sand and gravel. And in those mixes, for whatever reason, I'm guessing it's something unique to clay and its properties, right? Or maybe I didn't put enough concrete mix, Portland cement, in with those mixes. But it looked like beautiful concrete, but it would absorb moisture. So over the winter, the concrete would have, notice this concrete's intact, but that concrete would absorb moisture, get wet, and then when it went below freezing, it all just pulverized from ice crystallization. So all this stuff has to be hammered up and taken away, and I got to mix some new concrete and fix all of that. This is really low on my priority list. The pond still works. It just kind of irks me. I don't like the way it looks. So this is like probably the very bottom of the priority list for me, something I plan to do at some point, but I got to have nothing else to do to get around to this, because it really doesn't matter. It's just an aesthetics thing. I don't like the way it looks. Anyway, I'm sure I've forgotten a couple things, but that's the gist of it. Those are the works in progress in the garden. I'm sure I got a couple other things. I just haven't thought of them right now. And of course, I've got the old honey-do list. You know, honey do this, honey do that. That's another list I got to deal with. Like doing my taxes, I got to get around to that. But anyway, I just thought I'd do a video like this to show you, as nice as the garden looks. When I look at it, all I see, I mean, I can step back and enjoy it for what it is. But mainly when I come out here, all I see is the things I haven't done yet. And I have these regrets for not getting around to them sooner, and so on and so forth. If you feel that way sometimes, you're not alone. We all do. It's just part of it. So I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.